Total
Drama
Action!
action. So yeah, we've just wrapped up Total Drama Total Drama Action, the second season of the Total Drama franchise. And I've got to say, I enjoyed this a lot better than the first season.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was because partly because the cast had been shortened dramatically. Because how many were in season one?
22.
22, and here we had 16, wasn't it?
It was 15.
15, yeah. So I feel like that's a more substantial number because it led to more like development throughout the cast. Particularly the standouts for this season, I would definitely say, are Lashana and Harold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas with the first season, it just felt like a lot of them were just put in to be shovelware. Whereas this season, they all got their chance to shine and do their own thing. If you get my meaning.
Yeah, I can get your meaning.
Yeah.
I will say it does feel like this season really goes by at a snail's pace, especially because I watched a decent bit of this season as a kid. So I was watching this stuff week to week to week and seeing like an abundance of but I can imagine the abundance of reward challenges really bogged down the pace a bit.
Yeah, that's the only issue I have with this season. But I think because you watched it week to week, it's kind of like whenever you're like reading like a manga series, and it's kind of like you feel like it's dragging, but when you read it as a binge, it feels like more naturally progressive. I feel like because we binged it didn't feel as snail's paced for me as it probably did for you when you watched it week to week.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I did enjoy, and also as well because of the fact that I do like my movies, so seeing all the different genres in this was definitely a treat.
Yeah, and not to mention like there would be like a bunch of references to like a lot of each genre's tropes, and
yeah,
or even just like the names of the titles. I mean, the titles of the episodes being like references to like popular movies in each genre, like. The prison movie was the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, obviously a reference to Shawshank.
Or the Blair Witch Project. I mean, not the Sandwich Project, which is a reference to the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Full Metal Drama, Ocean's 8 or 9, Style M for Merger, Princess Pride.
Yeah. Ironically, there was not like a Stephen King like movie reference in some capacity, which would have been hilarious. Oh wait, no, Shawshank Redemption. That's Stephen King film. But it would have been no. I know exactly. Okay, have you seen the film Misery?
No.
Okay, so to give you a context to that film, it's basically what would happen. Okay. Going ahead to the ending of the season when we get introduced to Sierra, it'll be like if Sierra was what's her name? Where is she? The violent one. What's her name again?
The violent one.
The violent one in this in Total Drama.
That's not narrowing it down.
Eva, that's it. Eva. I was trying to find who it was. It'll be like if Sierra, if it was still Sierra, but she had Eva's personality.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's about an author getting stuck with that one fangirl. Basically, a combination of Eva and Sierra.
It's just Sierra.
yeah, it's a pretty good film. I highly recommend it. But yeah, so I guess we should just start from the beginning,
Yep.
where we have if I could get up the so that's season no, episode 1, Monster Cash, where it's basically the kaiju episodes. So we're starting off big here. Chris sparing, and that's another thing I look at. Thank God I brought up saying, because that's another reason why I do like this season better than Total Drama Island. Chris wasn't as insufferable in this season. I know you were saying that Total Drama is the best you'll see of Chris, but I would say Action is probably the best of Chris, because he didn't make me want to split hairs and be like, Chris, what the hell, man, for half the season.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and you know my hatred for Chris, and it's not like a hatred that I have for Heather, where it's like I love to hate her so much that I want to see what else she'll do. No, I generally just despise Chris. I think he deserves to be shot into a cannon into the dark dimension in Power Rangers. But yeah, so we have the kaiju episode here, and we have Izzy, or is it Kaleidoscope? I can't really tell half the time. Basically dating a giant robot controlled by Chef. That just happens to be the kaiju monster.
Yep. So some other highlights include Jeff and Bridget sucking face, and Duncan being like, I don't think this is the type of action Chris was talking about.
Yes, I love that. Even though they've been one note throughout the entire season, I just love the fact that no matter where they are, they'll just like find a way to just to just make face with each other.
They even had a round of tonsil hockey in the confessional, where the monster then grabbed them and sent them into a bouncy castle.
Yes. So yeah, they all get sent into a bouncy castle. The losers, as Chris would call them. Another highlight for me that I put in my notes here was when Justin. The Justin hate-o-meter will be controlled. It will be controlled because based on the ending of the season, Justin will not be in World Tour, thank God. But yeah, Justin being Thane, when I said at the beginning that, and I still stand by this, Duncan is better looking than Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is true. Like it's no wonder like Courtney and Gwen were going after him. So yeah, and also had in this what the actual hell, Owen. I don't remember what that was all about.
Yeah.
But really, that was all my. So it was a great start to the season. Like just starting off the kaiju with the kaiju. For all you Godzilla, Gamera, other kaiju monsters that I can't think of at the top of my head. So yeah, episode 2, which is Alien Resurrection, which is gonna be like, why couldn't it have just been called Alien Z? Like it's called Aliens, but instead of an S, it's a C on the end. Why did they have to go with that title?
Because it's a reference to Alien Resurrection, which I heard is not a good movie.
It's not a good film. It really isn't. So in this episode, we have Owen putting ketchup on pancakes, which I've got to say is probably the worst thing you can ever do. Even worse than people criticizing me for putting mayonnaise on noodles. My other note here was that Chef saying, "I hate my life." Story of everyone's life, Chef.
And not I forgot to mention this, but in the previous episode, Owen ate an entire like buffet of prop food.
That was it. That was it. Where I put what the actual how it was because he ate the prop food, thinking it was an actual buffet.
And like, that like ruined his system.
Yeah, because I was questioning like, how does okay? I've got to ask this question: how does Owen's body function?
I've always speculated he's the human equivalent of Kirby, and like everything he eats gets sent to a pocket dimension.
You know what? That actually makes a lot. You know what? Kirby versus Owen death battle.
I'm pretty sure Kirby would win, but
Owen is pretty. I guess versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, okay, even though he went on to be my favorite character in the season, I've got to say this here. Where Harold pining for Lashana throughout most of the season, I put Harold, don't turn into Joel from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. We don't want that. And he kind of did that, but at the same time, he had more things going for him as the season went on, which is why he ended up being my favorite character in this season.
Yeah, I can concur with that. Like, I feel like Harold's relationship with Lashana is really wholesome. Again, we'll probably get into that more as this video goes on, but like, I'd say this is probably Harold's best season.
Yeah, I can concur with that. I mean, I've not seen World Tour yet, so I don't know how well he does. I feel like from what I can understand from the franchise, there's that one character whose season, like, it's their best season. So for Total Drama Island, it was Gwen's best season, and for this one, it was Harold's best season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, how is Izzy that strong to flip Owen to flip over Owen? But then again, as the season goes on, see more of Izzy's psychotic side here to the point that she I don't know whether she develops split personalities or if she generally just like, no, I truly or I guess like, how would you describe like what happens to Izzy?
Good question. Because we see, honestly, because Kaleidoscope isn't like too far removed from Izzy, and from her talk in Total Drama to the Fourth Power Island, it seems that she was taking on Kaleidoscope as an alias rather than a split personality.
That's fair. That's fair. So yeah, what were my other notes for this episode? Here we go. The reason why, again, Justin's whole purpose in this whole season was just to stand, smile, and be Fane, and be like, I don't want to do this because it will ruin my perfect image. And you know what? I've got the perfect nickname for that. Richie from season 2 of Mighty Morphin. That is basically what Justin was in this whole season. Just stand, smile, look pretty, and do nothing else.
I mean, to be fair, Justin's a model. That's literally his job.
Yeah, but even models do have to have something else of it. I feel like models do you're pretty, you're fabulous, but what else can you do?
Fair enough.
Yeah, and Bridget and Jeff being useless because of course they are. And also in this we get another round of Izzy versus Chef. Which how many more times do they go up against each other?
I believe they go up against each other one more time in we'll they'll fight like one more time, and then they'll have like a bit of an interaction in Revenge of the Island. That's about it for Izzy and Chef.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought there would be more than that. But yeah, those were, unless you had anything else to say about this episode.
I will say, this and the last episode kind of sowed the seeds for the plot of TDI power couple Gwen and Trent. As we see Trent starting to get a bit insecure with his place.
Yeah. To the point that go ahead. Carry on.
This will go on to affect Trent's entire run this season, but we see from this that he doesn't have a high opinion of Duncan. He thinks he's a fake tough guy.
Which he kind of is Duncan at times.
Yeah, but like it's abundantly clear that Duncan and Gwen are just friends, and honestly, I do like their friendship. I think it's very nice to have a we don't get many examples of a dude and a chick who are just friends, and that's all they are, because I feel like a lot of people see like a dude and a chick and are like, they must kiss. When no, they can just be friends.
Yeah. So
Duncan and Gwen show this. Heck, Gwen had a friendship with Jeff, which is really underrated and kind of gets spat in the face in this season, but we'll get to that. DJ and Lashana and Harold.
DJ is just the most wholesome cinnamon bun ever. I want to give him a hug.
We all want to give DJ a hug. I will say, I feel like his cowardice angle was played up a little too much.
But then again, you have to But then again, go ahead.
I remember in Monster Cash, when the challenge started, he was just sitting in the back sucking his thumb. Come on, dude, I get you're scared shitless because of a giant animatronic monster. I get that, but you're trying to compete for $1 million, man. Have some faith in yourself.
Yeah, well, you can't really predict it, because sometimes it's $1 million is not worth your life, and I feel like that's what DJ was going for in that moment.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah,
with the end of the challenge, because the whole challenge was about procuring alien eggs while Chef was chasing down the contestants, Gwen and Trent end up winning the challenge and are now going to be put on opposing teams.
Oh god, yeah, the insufferable. I am gonna forfeit the challenges because okay, this I would say is dude, you're playing for £1 million. Just go at $1 million. Just go all out here. Don't be oh, I'm gonna be loyal to you, so I'm gonna fill the chat. No, win. And this is why Gwen did nothing wrong.
Okay, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that.
We'll get to
but
that.
anyways,
We will get to that.
In this episode, Bridget and Jeff get eliminated. We all know why.
Yeah, because you know what? It was probably for the best with them too.
Yeah, but it's not the last we're going to see of them.
Oh,
Again,
no.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So anyway, we have Riot on
3.
set. Yeah,
and this is less. Go ahead.
Yeah, which is more about setting up the actual season rather than anything else.
Yeah, like being able to set up a movie set, less so being in a movie. Which, hey, production does play a massive part in making a movie. I mean, heck, that's the theme behind the teams this season. The teams this season are the Screaming.
I was gonna say, because a lot of people tend to forget that, like when they're like, oh, why is this movie taking so long to come out? It's like you do realize that there's more to just being like action, roll the camera.
Yeah, it's not just like grab the camera, grab the light, get a green screen, put Joe Schmo and Leslie Schmesley on front of them, have them talk and roll credits, collect the paycheck.
And even then, you'll see you're like I'm just gonna use like one just franchise off the top of my head. So if you look at, say, like the Lord of the Rings franchise, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like they were all there for 2 years when they were filming that. But if you look at like the actual screen time of the characters, it's not a lot. Like Gimli the dwarf is only on screen throughout the whole trilogy for like 30 minutes in total, and people are there like, how come he gets so little screen time? I'm like, and why was he there for 2 years if he gets only 30 minutes? And it's like, you gotta take into account like all the other things around it, and the fact that they probably only spent like 2 minute scene on an entire week at some points, probably. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like you got to take into account all the technical aspects that go up to actually just getting a shot in position to actually shoot it.
Yeah, which is where the theming of the teams come in, with the Screaming Gaffers consisting of Gwen, Duncan, Lashana, DJ, Heather, and Harold, and the Killer Grips, made of Trent, Lindsay, Justin, Beth, Owen, and Kaleidoscope.
Which, if you really think about it, shouldn't have the teams swapped names, because if you've got Heather and Duncan on a team, they should be the Killer Grips.
Don't ask me.
Yeah,
Chris was the writers.
I am not taking anything up with Chris. I would rather I'm just trying to think, what would I rather do than talk with Chris? I would rather go to my mother's allotment, put my head in soil and eat a worm, then talk with Chris.
Okay. But
I'm being 100% serious when I say that.
It's also in this episode where we see more of Trent's jealousy, as he's like, "Hey, we're not gonna get all weird and competitive, are we?" No, we're not. Trent then continues to be weird and competitive, calling Gwen and Duncan punk wannabes.
Yes, and also in this episode, we have me suffering the worst possible pain I have suffered so far watching this season, agreeing with Heather. It's like, oh, the pain, because of the fact that she says she calls out Chris for his bullshit. and it's
Yeah.
like, and it's like, and it's like that he is legally obligated by union rules to give them a meal break, and she tries to form local one of the United Workers against Chris, and it's like, I can't believe it. I am agreeing with Heather. It's like, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, like this is like a kind of a continuing thing with Heather throughout the season, where like she slides out of the antagonist role that she was in season 1 to make room for A, new antagonists, and B, to fill a more comedic role, as we see her more interacting with Harold, who is a more comedic character, and we see like her relationship, her like rivalry with Gwen, like her mutual dislike with Duncan and Lashana. But they just don't take her seriously because, I mean, she's Heather.
Yeah, she's Heather. It's like it'll be like if I'm just trying to think. It'll be like if the Shinigami and Bleach were like, "Hey, Aizen, welcome back," and Aizen was just there like, "Yeah, I'm totally on your side again." It's like, no, you shouldn't trust him with a heartbeat. It's like with Heather, like, don't trust Heather.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also in this episode, we have Izzy or Kaleidoscope or E-Scope getting voted out.
Yep, because
I do like that's
ahead.
one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite running gags throughout the season when they say, "Izzy, sorry, Kaleidoscope." I love that. Like, she's that committed to it.
And not to mention in the challenge where they had to recreate a scene from a movie. She actually did a really good part. I mean, heck, after Total Drama Action, she landed herself some acting roles, and even Duncan's a really good actor.
Yeah. But then after, but getting ahead of ourselves again, Izzy kind of flips her shit on one of the sets of her movies,
which is a giant reference to Christian Bale's freak out on set.
Yeah, of course it is. It's like, how can it not be? So yeah, E-Scope gets eliminated in this episode.
Yep. But it won't be the last we see of her. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But on to episode 4, Beach Blankets Bogus.
What is that? I've got to ask, what is that a reference? What movie is that referencing?
I don't know.
Beach. Well, you look it up.
I think it's a reference to the '65 film Beach Blanket Bingo.
Oh, okay, all right. At some point, we've got to go through all these films and just watch them. At some point, like what they're actually referencing.
Yeah. In this episode, it's beach challenge themed, where we see the contestants riding on surfboards while trying to avoid sharks and seagulls. The sharks apparently being a part of a union,
which is just hilarious.
Life.
Yeah, because he's Justin and he's too fabulous that the sharks won't let him die. But also,
Oh
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're back on the island.
Yeah, at least for the second part of the challenge and the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But I was about to say, regarding Trent, this is the start, at least out in the open, of his lucky number 9.
Ooh! That was like one of the most infuriating things ever about Trent. It's like his whole obsession with the number 9. Why?
It gets explained later on that it has to do with a toy train he got from his grandfather before he passed away, and one of the wheels fell off, and his mom told him that 9 is now his lucky number. If anything, 9 seems to be his unlucky number.
Yeah, and if anything, 9's a more unlucky number than lucky number. But yeah, so also in this episode, we have Heather getting pepper sprayed in the eye. Justice. I like to see stuff like that for Heather because of all the crap she pulled in Total Drama Island.
We also see DJ getting his swimsuit bitten off. Crud! That's another thing we forgot to mention. DJ and Chef formed an illegal alliance.
Oh yeah.
Helped DJ win, but split the money with him 50-50.
Mm-hmm. And the alliance involved DJ basically becoming a contestant on Chef's version of Hell's Kitchen. which ironically would ended up working for the team's favor because DJ, as it turns out, is a pretty damn good cook.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, Hell's Kitchen with Chef doesn't sound like a bad idea. Get on it, Fresh TV.
So Chef as the host, obviously, and then just have DJ there as the sous chef. I've got it. He's a nice sous chef, but Chef constantly keeps being like, "No, you gotta be mean to these people. You gotta be vicious."
But the Gaffers win the first part of the challenge, and as we go back to Camp Wawanakwa for the second part, building a sandcastle. Or a prop sandcastle.
Which, of course, has to be nice for Trent. So he has like 9 moats, 9 towers, 9 bridges.
9 jam rooms.
Yeah. Which ends up failing in the end because the Killer Grips made the Taj Mahal, basically.
No, the Gaffers made the Taj Mahal.
The Gaffers made the Taj Mahal.
But Beth comes up with the idea of ripping up a bunch of magazines to make a paper mache castle called the Casa Gwen.
The Casa Gwen. I hate it.
It's also where Duncan hypothesizes that the whole number 9 thing has to do with Gwen. We later find out that it doesn't, but we'll get to that. Well, I already explained why the number 9 thing, but I'll get more into Trend when we get to the first Aftermath, because it's a very odd thing regarding Trent this season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now we come to a tiebreaker, which is a dance off with Lashana winning it for her team. But this was a reward challenge, so thankfully no one gets voted off.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like this is the only episode where the reward challenge kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but like, it's obvious that Trent even has a confessional where she's like, if Gwen wants to win, why is it unethical for me to help her? I'm Trent first in a killer grip second.
Mm-hmm. Which leads in... Oh, go ahead.
Which leads me... Well... Which is like, then why the hell are you here? If
Yes.
you're just gonna be throwing challenges because you can't stand to see Gwen lose, why are you here?
Oh, calm down, Tyler. Calm down, Tyler. You've got to say it properly. Why are you even here? Go away. Go away, Trent. And this leads into the next episode where Trent and Gwen finally break up.
Yep, and in this episode, it's a Wild West challenge with a where the first part of the challenge is about saddling up on a horse or donkey. I can't really tell what.
I think it's meant. I think because it's a Wild West, it's meant to be a horse, but I think it has the elements of that of the rodeo, so it'll be like a bull as well.
Yeah. Some highlights here are Trent's getting hit in the nuts, Harold making a smooth landing, and a nice landing for Duncan as well.
Yes.
We see Owen who misses the horse because it runs away, but Owen getting on the horse regardless. What were you gonna say?
And I was just going to say this episode also further highlights the friendship between Lindsay and Beth when they do the challenge together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And promising that if one of them dies, they could have the other's item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also in this episode, with Justin and everyone finds out that Trent's been purposely throwing the challenges for her, and forces her to work against Trent. Yeah. So Beth was kind of in a losing situation, regardless. If she didn't play it straight, people were gonna hate her. If she broke up with Trent, people were going to hate her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, again, Gwen did nothing wrong. She was manipulated the entire time.
But we also see DJ who makes like a parachute out of a pair of drawers and flies into some electrical wires. And Heather gets stuck on one of those. I think it's like a weather bane.
Yeah, it's a weather windmill thing. Yeah, but I'm just gonna give a highlight as well to DJ's voice actor, who's also Chef Hatchett's voice actor, of just how versatile his voice can be.
And not to mention, I believe he also plays DJ's mom.
Oh my god, that is hilarious. Yeah. I'll look it up quickly.
And while we then go to the next challenge, which is supposed to be a water pistol quick draw. And
yeah, he does. He does.
Ah, nice. But unfortunately for Chris at least, Owen drinks all the water in the water pistols.
Of course he does, because he's Owen.
Because yeah, and Owen was going to represent the grips, which is basically another example of Trent throwing the game. Like, I am on principle, I'm not a big fan of when people throw challenges. Even if it's part of some kind of strategy. I hate it on a personal level. Example of this would be Hell's Kitchen Season 2. With I remember on the Season 2 Red Team, which was an absolutely vile. Actually, both teams were bad, but Sarah, who was like the big villain of that season, basically threw Virginia under the bus to make her favor with Chef Ramsay worse by saying that she was ready with a fish when saying that she wasn't ready with a fish when she was making Virginia look like a sack of shit.
Ugh. Yeah, and here it's no exception because of like Trent just having a hard on for Gwen that is like he can't play the game properly.
Yeah, like it's one thing to try to like be nice to your partner while still being in the game. Like, I get that, but like there's a way to do that without completely sacrificing your integrity to do so. Like, and like we've had examples of like couples like, well, this is later on, but we've had examples of like couples being able to survive in the game.
Yeah. Like, well, obviously they're not in the game anymore, but like in season 1 with Jeff and Bridget.
Exactly. Yeah. Not even just like even on like even when competing against each other, like we've had examples like that, like in the Redonkulous Race and the reboot, like relationships can be fostered in a competition and they can be maintained. However, Trent is not doing a good job of that.
No, he really isn't.
I've heard some rumors about this whole Gwen and Trent thing, that it was more of an executive decision to break up Gwen and Trent. However, I'm not so sure on the deets of that. Okay, no. So I could be completely wrong.
Well, actually, you know what? Tyler, it wouldn't have been an executive's decision to break them up because I hated the fact that they were in this position. So it was a good thing that they broke up. And you know what executives would like to do? They'd be like, "No, we've got to make the audience suffer as much as possible."
Yeah. But we see in the final challenge the last straw for Gwen, where she tries to give herself up to Trent, and Trent doesn't even try. The Gaffers end up winning, sending the grips to the Gilded Chris ceremony. And Gwen and Trent break up. Justin overhears what happens. Justin rats out Gwen to the grips. Gwen tells the grips to vote Trent off. And that'll come back to play in episode 7. And Trent gets the good old heave-ho
into the lameousine.
Yep. Which leads us into a new tradition for the Total Drama series, the Total Drama Aftermath.
Aftermath, yes. I can understand why these portions were. You said that these portions were kind of your favorite of the season. Some aspects of them, but I can see why.
Yeah, because not only do I think that there is a lot of potential for this style of format, I also do believe that there are they could serve as a way to tie up loose ends. We see this more so with Aftermath 3, but as for Aftermath 1, Trent's Descent, doesn't really do much of anything aside from be like following up on Trent after he loses his shit, which actually, which he acknowledges he fucking went ballistic. Which, oh shit, I forgot to mention something.
What?
It's also in this season. We actually get to see what we see a bit of an extra confessional after contestants leave. We see them. There's actually footage of eliminated contestants in the lameousine as they're being whisked away to, I guess, the Aftermath studio.
I guess so.
But yeah. For the Aftermath, Jeff and Bridget are the hosts, which kind of wonder how they got that gig.
They were probably like, hey, we want to still be a part of this season, but the producer's like, you've been voted off. It's like, well, can we please just do something?
Probably, most likely. And this is where Jeff and Bridget spend most of their screen time hosting the Aftermath special.
And this is where we have to see the horror that is Katie and Sadie.
We also see other contestants from season 1, such as Cody, Noah, Ezekiel, Eva, Courtney, and Tyler.
Wait! We see who was that? Who was that with that begins with E?
I don't know. Is it?
It's the guy who goes yo yo yo. It's like I can't really remember his name. I think you mentioned it, but I can't remember that guy.
Ezekiel.
Oh, him. Yeah. I mean, who likes Ezekiel?
Apparently, some people do.
Like, okay, anybody who watches this video, please explain to me, if you like Ezekiel, why? It's bad when even Chris doesn't like him.
So the basic format of the Aftermath is basically Jeff and Bridget going over highlights from a batch of episodes. We see segments like That's Gotta Leave a Mark, which is basically, for those of you who live in America, America's funniest videos.
Yeah.
It's just...
Oh, go ahead.
Where it's just the contestants getting the snot beat out of them.
Yeah. Or if you live in the UK, it's You've Been Framed, which is much more tamer. And if you send in the clip, you get 250 quid, which surprisingly it's not around anymore, which is a shame.
We also see some never before seen footage, like Chef trying to form an alliance with Izzy before then going to DJ.
Yeah, which comes back to an annoyed DJ because of his mama being like, "Don't be going behind people's backs."
And we also get the follow up with Trent, who found out that Gwen told his team to vote him off. And we see a bit of an ongoing feud between Jeff and Bridget after Jeff calls Heather the hottest chick on the show.
Yeah, which saying that in front of your girlfriend, Jeff, was not the brightest move that you've ever made.
I'll say. We also see Bridget sticking up for Trent while Jeff sticks up for Gwen.
Yeah, and on that front, you get points back, Jeff, because again, and I've said it once, and I've said it twice, and I'll say it again. Gwen did nothing wrong.
Well, we know where Luke stands, and I firmly stand with Gwen as well. But
yeah.
The funny thing is with this episode is that they try to make you feel sympathetic for Trent, when in the last 4 episodes you were supposed to be feeling sympathetic for Gwen.
Yeah, because she was put in that situation by everyone. It's like Gwen wanted to play the game properly. Trent did not. And it's like, you're in a competition for £1 million. It's like, okay, I'm gonna say it right now. If it came down to even though I respect them a lot and would back them up in any other situation, if it came down to me or any of my siblings on an opposing team, we'd be going all out. We'd be like, don't hold back. We're here to play a game.
Yeah. It gives the vibe of like, okay, I'm about to get as niche as I possibly can. But for all of my fighting game fans, remember Evo 2018 Smash 4 Grand Finals. Literally, the first round of the game involved both of the finalists holding down one button and stalling.
Who does that?
I don't. Apparently, those two.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look. I recommend you look it up because, like, that is something you don't do when you're on the biggest fighting game stage in the world, at least in the United States, because there is an Evo Japan, but.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say right now, this all reminds me of an episode. You've seen Arthur. You've seen at least, you know of Arthur, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it reminds me of an episode of Arthur where he finds a bag of marbles in his grandmother's attic, and he sets up a marbles tournament, and it comes down to him and his grandmother in the tournament, and he's like, and it's the exact same situation as here. It's like with Arthur, it's like, I don't want to upset my grandmother, so I'm not even going to try. Everyone around him is saying, like, this is boring, just play the game. And his grandmother has to forfeit in the end, and she says to him, like, is it better to win a good game than lose a bad one? And that's the best lesson you can have for a situation like this. Trent should have been like, I would rather win a bad game than lose. I would rather win a good game than lose a bad one. Oh no, then win a bad one. Yeah, it was kind of like, what's more important? What's better, winning a good game or winning a bad game? And and this is what Trent should have realized. It's like, oh yeah, I was kind of being a bit of a dick then. I really should have just gone all out.
Yeah, and like Trent does realize that, as we see in his post-elimination confessional, where he's like, yeah, I went a little crazy, and I suppose my team is better off without me.
Yeah.
And he recognizes his mistakes, which, hey, good on him.
Too little, too late, mate.
Yeah, not to mention he kind of goes back on this in the finale, but then goes back to being chill, but like...
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the writers didn't know how to write Trent this season, and like wanted to make him a bit more interesting, which, hey, I respect that, but it came at the cost of the consistency.
Yeah. With that, we move on to the Chef Shank redemption. Which, my note for this episode that I wanna just highlight it. Well, obviously I have Shut Up Heather, I have Justin Shut It, but also I have the disgusting challenge of this episode. Is like I'm having Gwen drinking out of the toilet flashbacks with this episode. Yeah, like that. that thing, I still stand by it. Like what Gwen had to do in season 1 of Drinking Out, that was probably the most disgusting thing I've seen, even in both seasons. That was like, oh, it's just like it nearly made me want to throw up. So many of the characters doing this season, but also as well, we get I believe Izzy comes back in this episode and is no longer Kaleidoscope.
Yep, we
get Izzy back, and also we get Izzy X Owen.
Yep, the best ship of the original cast. I stand by it.
I would argue Lashana and Harold.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'd say the best couple, because Lashana and Harold aren't a couple.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Another thing, one complaint I really have about this episode are the killer grips. Specifically Justin.
Yeah, because they've kind of got Gwen's hand in this episode. It's like, you've got to let us win, otherwise we blab to everyone.
Yeah, and it's like, they're like the underdogs in this situation, so like they need every advantage they can get, but like they are not very likable underdogs. Not even Owen or Lindsay are too likable in this episode.
Owen is
they're not likable enough to save the team.
No, and Owen, and again, it goes back to the question of like, would you rather it be won and actually earned, or won but felt like, yeah, that was a bit underwhelming.
Yeah. I going back to a Hell's Kitchen analogy, which I said to Luke, it's like I put it as like Hell's Kitchen season 11's blue team, who went on the longest challenge losing streak in Hell's Kitchen history, only winning 2 challenges in their season, and the second time they won a challenge, they had one of the ladies come over onto their team because they were floundering. And in terms of winning over the ladies and dinner services, I believe they only did that 3 times.
Wow.
The rest they either lost or was a joint loss.
Wow. That is just something.
But only really 2, maybe 3 of the blue team were likable. 4 if you really want to stretch it. And that being John and Anthony. Christian was all right. And if you want to debate, maybe Michael. But he also threatened to beat one of his teammates across the floor. So it's kind of debatable. Sebastian had no sense of there being a time and place for things for his constant wisecracks. Jeremy was inexperienced and had a bad attitude. Dan complained all the time. Ray hardly acted his age. It was like him. Barrett wasn't much better, serving fish with parchment paper still on it and pink chicken to a pregnant woman.
Ew! Like, how do those people not know? Like, I remember seeing a clip from season 1 of Hell's Kitchen where the guy cooks. It's Andrew. That was it. Andrew with the in the signature dish challenge with the raw It was the raw fish, wasn't it?
That was Chris.
Oh, Chris. Sorry. Yeah, Chris. I could, looking at that, I could see like that is obviously Raw.
Yeah. Oh, another good example. The season 16 blue team, which is the team with the worst attitudes I have ever seen. Pat was fine, though he was eliminated first. Gennaro had no passion. Aaron was actually okay. Aaron was one of the few saving graces on that team. Johnny was a raging sexist and a playground bully. Coop was all right for the most part, but had a weird hatred for waiters, which just rubbed me the wrong way. Ironically, so did Dan from season 11. Matt was a raging asshole, sexist, and racist with what he said on his personal Facebook. Paulie was a complainer.
Oh.
I mean, heck, and the only other saving grace on that team was Devin. And even though he was nice, he sucked.
What
I would
can
also
you do?
like to state, no offense to any of the people I mentioned from Hell's Kitchen. I understand the circumstances of being put through on a reality TV show with cameras everywhere and you're cooking in front of Gordon Ramsay. I totally get that. Not too much disrespect, except for Matt from season 16, who is an actual asshole. Fuck Matt.
So yeah.
Anyways, we're getting a little sidetracked here.
Yeah, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but it was important because also as well in this episode, it comes at the expense of losing Gwen this early on before we get into the double-digit episodes.
Yeah, which I mean, I can understand. Like, Trent's gone, so there's nothing really much else for Gwen to do.
Yeah, but I guess she could have done something else. They could have found a way to keep her around, do something else. Maybe done like an episode where she redeems herself in the eyes of both teams.
Yeah, but
that could have been like a running theme throughout the rest of her run. I would have said. I would have had Gwen be there the whole season. In the same way, I think Owen had his time last time, so I feel like eliminate them both in this season. I feel like that is fair. But at the same time, give it a chance. Give Gwen a chance, like at least get into, I would say, the merger. Get the merger before you eliminate her, and have a try and have that be like the final challenge for her to be like, okay, this is my last chance to properly redeem myself in the eyes of everyone, but they can't. But she mucks it up so badly for them that they're just like, you know what? Let's get rid of her. She's still guilty for what she still feels guilty for what she did, but she did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree with that. Gwen didn't do much wrong.
But what can you do?
Yeah. But anyways, on to episode 8. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No, just One Flew Over the Cuckoos.
Oh, that's weird. One Flew Over the Cuckoos, which is medical dramas.
Yeah, the biohazard episode. Which surprisingly, we get decent food in this episode. We get pizza. I love me some pizza.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
people who don't like pizza don't like life.
I agree. I agree with that. Despite the fact that we might have our different idea of what toppings go on pizza.
Look, I'll eat most kinds of pizza as long as it's edible.
What about ham and pineapple?
I'll eat it. Not my preferred, but like I have preferences on what goes on my pizza, but I don't hate most things that go on pizza.
Okay. Have you seen the going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's relevant to what we've just been talking about. Have you ever seen the video where James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, gets a bunch of his friends together, and they have the pizzas that are mentioned that Michelangelo mentions in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, I'll have to find that clip.
If we've got time, I think we'll have time. Like afterwards, I can get it up and we can watch it before I head off for the night after this video. But yeah, So and everyone is just like, okay, this is they're very suspicious at this point, or because of like it's early on in the season and they're getting good food.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually very good food, because it turns out that DJ is the one making the pizzas.
Yep, with a little help of Chef. While they're eating the pizzas, they're also studying medical school textbooks, which according to Chris, he changed some stuff around in it, which I'm pretty sure is illegal, but
yes, but not as illegal as what I think half the stuff he's probably going to be doing in World Tour, which would probably get him arrested if it was done in real life.
Everything he did in the first season would probably get him arrested, let alone by World Tour.
I'm just waiting to see how many crimes he, because they do. I assume they do go to England in one of the episodes in World Tour.
There was literally an episode in World Tour called I See London. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. So I am waiting to see how many crimes he commits in London. Like, will he attack the king, the Queen/King's guards, because that can pretty much get you arrested.
We see from the constant study, we also see their knowledge being put to the test as they try to assemble a cadaver, and then strike it with lightning for some reason. I thought we already did the monster movies.
Yeah, well, it's a different kind of monster movie, because that was kaiju. This is Frankenstein.
Fair enough.
Or Franken Chris. Yeah. So what were my notes for this episode? I love Duncan's line in this episode, because it's so realistic. It's like, I hate doctors, but I love playing them. That is gonna be like the most realistic line from Duncan in the entire franchise so far. Because it's true. It's like you'd hate to be accused of being a murderer in real life, but they're so much fun to play.
Yep.
And also we find out
here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in this episode we also find out that Lashana is lactose intolerant because she can't eat dairy, because she can't eat or drink dairy products.
We also find out Harold's full name of Harold Norbert Cheever Doris McGrady V.
I just love the fact that the entire line from Harold's male side of the family as Doris as a middle name. It's like, I'm just thinking now but mind you, that could have skipped a few generations. So I'm wondering if his great grandmother was like, no, I want the Doris name to remain alive somehow.
Maybe.
But yeah, electric eels. What the hell, Chris? That's my first what the hell for Chris. 8 episodes in, so that's a record of me being not mad at Chris. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Yeah, and also
probably a good sign considering.
And also Chris making them all believe that they're all contaminated.
Yeah, he makes them all think that they're like, they're all infected with a contagious disease, where they to the point where they quarantine Owen and DJ in bubbles. Uh, Justin's lips burn. Beth experiences hot flashes. Heather starts vomiting. Lindsay uh uh drops some brown tactical nukes in the porta-john, and Harold goes blind.
Yeah. So I'm like, Chris, you were doing so well, and then you had to do this.
Yeah, but it turns out it's all fake. It's textbook medical school syndrome, where you learn of all these diseases and you see these symptoms on yourself. So you think you got everything.
Yeah,
and it turns out that the oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it turns out that the reason why they're all experiencing this is because of Chef messing with the pizzas, and Lashana was, because of the fact that she's lactose intolerant, she didn't eat the pizzas. So she was the only one who knew what was actually going on.
Yep. We also see that the sores that appeared on Owen and DJ were just slices of pepperoni. Not to mention that the pizza was laced with itching powder and laxatives.
Yep. Which I've got to say, like, what? Well, I get the point of them, but like, why would you even want people to drink laxatives?
Because they typically often help with people who have trouble with their bowel movements.
Yeah, that's fair, but at the same time, if you accidentally eat that stuff, it's like, oh, be prepared. Be prepared to feel like Owen.
Yeah.
And really, that's all I had for this episode.
We do see in with the Gaffers winning, Lashana gets to spend an entire spa day with her favorite cousin, La Shaniqua.
Great name, by the way.
I actually think that's like one of the beta designs for Lashana as well.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. But yeah, and this is where we also find out that Lashana, that Lashana was actually faking crying to get into the limousine because she wanted to get away from everything. Which, fair enough, I probably would have done the same thing. Just any way to get away from Chris and total drama, which I don't get. Like, I get they all want the $1 million, but I get, why would you guys put up with this for 3 seasons? Which I've got to say, I've heard. I don't know about you, but I've heard people complaining about when the cast changed out for Revenge of the Island. But like I said last time, if I had to put up for 3 seasons of Chris's crap, I'd be like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Though for some of the contestants that come back in All Stars, for some of them it's 4.
Ugh. Why? Why would you guys pull with this?
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, and next episode we have probably the most shocking episode for me in the entire series. This was literally one of my only 3 notes for this episode. Does not compute. Lindsay being not stupid and saying something logical with Beth does not compute, Tyler. It does not compute.
For context, this episode has horror themed challenges And the first challenge is one of the contestants has to dress up like a serial killer, and act like and has to scare the other members of their team. And Lindsay elects Beth to do so because she literally cannot scream after a botched tonsil surgery.
Yeah, and I'm just there like Lindsay being smart and literally taking charge.
Yeah, like honestly, if you ask me, this is Lindsay's best season.
Yeah,
mainly because like it really feels like she comes into her own.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Like Lindsay being smart is like it's like my brain has probably just been like. Now, obviously, I'm playing this up, but at the same time, I'm just shocked by it. But also, as well, we find out DJ's full name in this episode, Devon Joseph. And I'm just there, like, I'm there, like, oh, that's what it meant? Oh, okay.
We also see in this episode DJ's illegal lines with Chef really weighing on his conscience, particularly in the visions that or hallucinations he has of his mother, who tell him that she is very disappointed in him. And we actually see Heather being concerned about DJ, which I feel like Heather and DJ have a bit of an underrated friendship. Like, I don't know why.
Well, I think it's because like nobody expects like the most purest cinnamon bun who is so wholesome that he folks himself out of this episode because like, yeah, I lied to you guys, so yeah, I deserve to go. With the being paired up with like the most backstabby of people. Yeah, but yeah, DJ quits in this episode because he realizes he cheated, and he's like, yeah, nobody likes a cheater, so goodbye, guys.
Yeah, which actually makes makes DJ the first ever contestant in Total Drama history to quit.
Yeah, which DJ, you would have been in the final. I guarantee 100% that I think DJ would have been in the final stretch had he not been manipulated by Chef.
I don't think he really had the chops in this season. Like in World Tour, I definitely feel like DJ definitely had the potential to go all the way in World Tour. In action, I don't know about that. Like,
well, we'll never know. We just will never know.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on to episode 10, Master of Disasters.
Which is Harold's shining moment in this season.
Oh, absolutely. But before Harold shines like a diamond, Owen goes through quite the rough in this episode with his jaw being busted in the first part of the challenge.
Yeah. It's like when you see that with like it was Chef's manuscript for his autobiography, wasn't it?
It was his unpublished manifesto.
All right, yeah. That and I'm just thinking there, like, how thick is that book to break someone's jaw? But then I remembered, like, you can actually break a window with a newspaper. Yeah. Because you did you ever watch the Angry Video Game Nerd episode on Paperboy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it is possible to break a window with a paper. So I guess that's kind of like what they probably realized when they did. It's like, oh yeah, paper's strong enough, because at its core, paper is wood. So it's basically like Owen's being whacked in the face by a giant log of wood.
Yeah, and not to mention that book looks like it's a hardcover. So
yeah, it is a hardcover. So yeah, Owen's jaw gets messed up in this episode, totally. Meaning that he's going to have a really huge dentist bill because he's not in the UK, so he doesn't have the NHS insurance.
Yeah, I don't really. Well, I know they have free universal health care in Canada, so like.
Well, I actually want to look that. I'm going to look that up quickly.
Okay, while you do that, I'll continue. I'll continue onwards. We also see in this episode we get the mentions of Beth's boyfriend Brady,
who doesn't exist. He doesn't exist, Tyler. He doesn't exist.
He does, but for some reason she's perfectly fine with flirting with Justin. I mean, Beth is perfectly fine with flirting with Justin. I don't know if they have a polyamorous relationship or not, but
okay. So they do have an NHS Canada. So yeah, Owen would have gone it really cheap, at least compared to where you are, Tyler.
Yeah, like to fix up his jaw, that probably would have cost him in the tens of thousands.
Yeah, which probably as well contributed to the fact of what he does later in the season. But yeah, I'm just there like, what, Chris? What the hell with this change? But at the same time, it was so satisfying to see Chris get injured properly injured for the first time. That was so satisfying.
Not the first time. He did get hosed down with water.
Yeah, no, I said properly injured. Like getting thrown off the dock into the water does not count. But no, it's like, when he gets like smashed with that dinghy, with that like that golf buggy cart thing into the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And also in this episode, we see that Megatron is obviously a fan of Total Drama because we see his rubber ducky in this episode.
Yep. And in the second half of the challenge, because the Grips won the first half because of Owen's injury. The second half is them trying to escape a flooding chamber full of water. And this is where LaShawna's deception shines as they find out that LaShawna fake cried to go on the reward with La Shaniqua.
Mm-hmm.
But then we see Harold save everybody's lives before they all drowned.
Yes, and we'll get into this later. And this was the moment where I was like, okay, yeah, Harold's probably my favorite character in this season, just for that. But at the same time, this leads into an issue I have with the second half of the season, because this is essentially like the finale to the first half. It's Duncan. It's Duncan with how he treats Harold for the rest of the season, despite the fact he saved his life.
Yeah, that is a bit of a problem I have with Duncan this season as well.
And also as well, you'd figure that this would be something that Harold would like have over him for the rest of the season. It's like it would have been pretty funny if Harold went and looked at like the contracts and be like, "Oh, I found a clause here, Duncan. If I save your life, you have to be nice to me until I am eliminated." That would have been hilarious to see, and Duncan just being like, "I've got to get rid of Harold quickly. I've got to get rid of Harold quickly," and then Harold's just there being like, "Duncan, can you get me a glass of water?" That would have been hilarious to see.
It would have been, but I feel like it would have compromised the bond they actually formed later on in Crouching Courtney Hidden Owen.
Yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, Duncan, I'm just like, you really should have treated Harold better.
And yeah, I agree, but I think it speaks to Harold's maturity that he didn't lord it over Duncan's head for the rest of the competition.
Fair enough.
Because, like, it's one thing to, like, do something nice. It's another thing to do something nice and expect nothing, and not to expect anything in return. You know, and that's Harold right now. So I think Harold's kind of taking the high ground here.
Yeah, fair enough.
If anything, it would look worse on Duncan, even though, like, Duncan still continues to make fun of Harold, and in some cases, Heather and Lashana laugh at him. But anyways, non-elimination, and Owen's jaw is wired shut, so now he can only eat food through a straw.
Yeah.
Which, poor guy. But in moving on to the next episode, Full Metal Drama.
Which I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't make the obvious reference with Lindsay by having a go up to Owen and be like, "How tall are you? 5'5", 5'5". I don't know Owen's height, but I'm just using it. I'm just using that for the line. 5'5". I didn't know this crap that high. Yeah, they missed like such an obvious joke there.
Yeah, as you couldn't tell by the joke Luke made, this episode is themed around war movies. In the first challenge, we see Duncan and Izzy arranging explosives into a creative, controlled explosion. We see Harold show off the Numyo, which, gotta admit, kind of stupid, but also kind of awesome too.
It's stupid, but I love it. And also we see Lindsay. Sorry, Admiral Lindsay, her hotness, basically taking charge when she's like, which again, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. With Lindsay's character, it just seems like this part of Lindsay just comes out of nowhere.
Fair enough, but like, she has stated that like, that she feels that people underestimate her, and she's trying to try to be more proactive.
Yeah. Fair enough. But I'm also on the wiki page, and apparently in certain countries the episode is titled "Saving Private Lindsay."
Yeah. We also see Justin's charm over his teammates start to wane as the shtick is now getting old.
Yes, finally, everyone's seeing through through Justin's vanity.
We also see the seeds of Duncan and Harold's relationships truly start to be sown here. Because
and also Harold being having the sense of humor of a 5-year-old when he goes, he said booby.
I mean, in 310 The Crazy Town, he said that he had cow boobies on his head, even though it was censored to cow hunters.
Yeah. He said booby. Harold, you're not 5 years old. It's not that funny. People say booby traps.
We also see Harold also come up with good ideas, like making a foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
We also see Lashana taking her turn as the fart machine, as Owen is currently backed up from all the blendies. And
Which I've got to ask, what is in that drink? What is legitimately in the drink that Owen is given by Chef?
I think it's like, hold on. Let me check.
Well, while you do that, I'll look at that. So yeah, and also, they went through everything in this episode for nothing.
Yep, because the trunk of mind-blowing secrets, which the gaffers were protecting in the foxhole, was empty.
Yes, it was empty. So they went through all this torment for nothing in the episode. Yeah. So did you find?
It's a puree of fruit and bran.
Okay, all right. But again, it was satisfying to see explosiva explode something, and Chris get caught in the explosion.
Yeah. While it was very nice and explosive, it wasn't very creative, as Duncan's explosion made a skull.
Which, of course, it does, because he has a skull. He has, is it a skull?
Yep,
it has the skull on the shirt. So yeah, of course he does. But this whole episode leads to Explosiva is a kaleidoscope leaving for the second time,
and this time for good, which leads us into the second aftermath special, Forgive and for Gwen.
Yeah. So can we forget? Can we just forgive Gwen and move on? Because we have a fan of DJ who is known to cursing a lot, and his name is Gordon. So you know how
London,
so you. Well, actually, it should really be from Glasgow. Well, actually, I know he's Scottish, Gordon Ramsay, because it's obviously a reference to Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah,
where was it? Where was he born?
He was born in Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow. So yeah, it should really be it should really be Glasgow, because Gordon Ramsay's Scottish.
Well, I don't know if there's a Glasgow in Canada. Because the whole joke is that the Gordon that shows up in the footage is
there is. It's a community located in the regional somewhere in Ontario, Canada. So yeah, there is a Glasgow in Canada.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well.
So yeah, they really could have made that joke properly.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's obviously a reference to Gordon Ramsay.
And we also get the first physical appearance of DJ's mom.
Yeah, which is surprising. I didn't think she was going to show up.
Yeah. We also we also see Jeff's arc being started up as he decides to go more all out with becoming the second Chris on the aftermath.
Yeah, and Jeff, we have one Chris is more than enough. We don't need two.
Yeah. As we see him swap out the hammer in Truth or Hammer for an anvil.
Which, what the hell, Jeff? What the hell?
And we see Jeff trying to get DJ to lie to appease his producers, which leans into the credence that he's doing this because it's what the producers want, not what he wants. So it's clear that he's being pressured into it, and he kind of has to put on an act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also as well, we have Gwen having to defend herself for the 50 billionth time, despite the fact that she did nothing wrong.
And we also see the love triangles switching from Gwen, Trent, and Duncan to Gwen, Duncan, and Courtney. So now I guess more of a love rectangle. Actually, it's more of like a love arc.
Yeah,
because we got Gwen and Duncan, and then branching off, we got Courtney and Trent as like the bottom pieces of the arc, because there's nothing romantically going on between Trent and Courtney.
No, there isn't. But it would be more like, I would say, a love tree. Because you've got, like, the main body and then the branches.
Yeah, like the main body being Gwen and Duncan and the branches being Trent and Courtney.
Yeah. And also the other branch being Gwen and Trent.
Yeah. But speaking of this love triangle, if you think it's bad now, oh, just you wait. Just you wait.
You know what? How long are we into this? I'm making a note of this. Okay, 1 hour 39 minutes into it. I'm gonna put it down. Make a timestamp of 1 minute 39 for that laugh.
But we also see Jeff wanting to try to dunk Gwen into a tank of piranhas.
Yeah, which is like, what the hell? Yeah, going a little bit overboard there.
Yeah, and we also see a chase sequence between Izzy and Jeff. This time, Izzy.
Yep, because we need more. We need more. Izzy versus Chef.
Yeah, they're like the total drama equivalent of Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Definitely.
Another thing I want to bring up here. When Kelsey comes on the webcam with her Trent doll, with the creepy poem, and kissing the Trent doll 9 times.
Oh, that is so freaky.
Fun fact, this is a reference to an actual Total Drama fan, partially. There is actually a Total Drama fan somewhere out there in the world with a doll of Cody.
Oh no.
And this is a reference to that fan, but instead of Cody, it's Trent.
Oh no.
And actually, there's another reference to that same fan.
Oh.
And would it be crazy? Would it be too crazy if I told you it was Sierra?
No. Don't tell me we have to put up with Sierra being psychotically obsessed with Cody next season.
Okay, he's gonna timestamp 1 hour, 39 minutes, 32 seconds. Okay. Anyways, honestly, this is probably the worst Aftermath special of the season. It felt like we could have just not had this episode and nothing would change.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So let's move on to Ocean's 8 or 9, where
Yep.
where Courtney's back. Yay.
Yep.
Courtney has basically bribed herself to be back on the show.
I mean, she does have a fair point, though, because she was wrongfully booted off the show because Harold rigged the votes.
Fair enough, but still, Courtney, you didn't have to go that far because she basically becomes a hypocrite for the rest of the season. She criticized people for her very booty for rigging the show, and yet what does she do for the rest of the season?
Rig the entire show to be in her favor.
Yes. So there's a word for that, Courtney. Hypocrite.
On the bright side, Owen's jaw is officially unwired, and now he's on an eating spree to the point where...
Yes, I loved it. I loved Owen in this episode to the point that he sees Lindsay as a giant bottle of soda and Beth as a strawberry flavored ice cream for some reason.
He also sees Justin as a hot dog.
I love that. And jumping ahead a bit, Owen gets we gain a Courtney but lose an Owen. Yeah. I repeat that. We gain a Courtney but we lose an Owen.
Okay, so now it's gonna seem weird coming from me, being the Owen guy. I think this is the right time for Owen to go. He already made the finale last season. I'm okay with him being a pre-merger.
Yeah, I would have been okay with it as well, but again, we gained a Courtney. We gained a Courtney, Tyler.
I suppose it doesn't help that she had immunity in the first in that vote, and Owen, Justin, Lindsay, and Beth wasted their votes on Courtney. Back, we still would have lost Owen. But hey,
yeah, we still would have lost Owen. But again, I'm not mad about Owen going here. But again, we gained a Courtney.
But at least Owen went out with a bang, with him delivering a heartwarming speech.
Yeah, he goes into some hallucinations, and he thanks Justin, picturing him as a hot dog, and he says something in relation to them all, as they're pictured. And the funniest thing is that he pictures Chris as a slice of pizza. So you know what this means, Tyler. You know what this means. Use my. I am gonna do it now. Don't cry. It's only onions, some green peppers, mushrooms, and pepperoni, and the secret to a great pizza: 4 cheeses. Use my colossal cooker for 10 minutes, and you're gonna get a beautiful cheesy deep dish Chris Mclean pizza.
Yep.
I am sorry, thanks. Okay, how long are we doing? Because I have definitely times up 1 hour 46 into the video. I am sorry, thanks. I had to mention the Power Rangers pizza.
But anyways, moving on to $1 million BC, the Caveman episode, and one of my personal favorites this season. Not for any big story purposes, but because I think this is one of the funniest. Especially with... Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree with it. Although we did have like some debate with this episode because of the fact that they're basically doing Jewel from Gladiators on top of the tar pit, and if they fall in, they get covered in tar, which can be kind of like problematic these days. If you know what I mean.
Arguably even problematic back then. Like, keep in mind this show aired in 2009.
Yeah,
Even back in 2009, it was frowned upon.
Yeah, because you have them falling into tar, which is coloured black, and you have most of the cast, and you have like about half the cast who are white in this episode. You can see where I'm going with that.
We also see like Duncan having all of his lighters and stuff confiscated, and like him being picked up by his like his animal pelt, which inadvertently caused him to show his junk to the camera. And we see Lindsay create fire before Courtney.
Yeah.
And we see Harold being chased down by prehistoric beavers.
Yes. Which I like to think that they fought because did it come out around the? I think it came out around this time. Like they thought he was responsible for the giant beaver dam being destroyed in South Park.
Yeah, which apparently there is a franchise in Tunnel Drama called Rodents Who Kill, and there are 2 movies.
Oh, okay. But this is where I got like the idea for Total Drama Kings and Queens, where you have like the couples of Total Drama duking it out,
which would be an interesting concept if to highlight how toxic some of the couples are, like Duncan and Courtney. My God, they like.
Well, would it be Duncan? Would it be like Duncan and Gwen more so than Duncan and Courtney? Or would you have Gwen and Trent and Duncan and Courtney?
Like, if we're going out based off this season, it'd be Gwen and Trent, Duncan and Courtney, Owen and Izzy, Bridget and Jeff.
Bridget and Jeff, and Harold and LaShawna.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it's technically one-sided, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Why I said that.
But like, I really like Duncan and Courtney in this season as like a dynamic, because even though like I despise when couples bicker and fight and complain, at least with Duncan and Courtney doing it, they're cartoonishly beating the shit out of each other, so at least I can laugh. Like,
yeah,
like we see Courtney take her giant bone and slam Duncan in the groin as he falls into the tar pit.
Yeah,
like at least I can laugh at the cartoony violence, and it's not just a couple complaining.
Yeah, it's like how even though I can't really stand fart jokes, Owen has a lot more going for him than just the fart jokes.
Even though the show will continue to flanderize Owen as a fart machine.
Yeah, and I mean his farts have been useful in the past.
Yeah, it will actually be useful in the future, but again, we'll get to that. No elimination this time around. The Grips finally win a challenge.
Yes, finally.
And they get some ribs, which fall into the tar pit.
Yeah, and the big giant rib, that's obviously a reference to the Flintstones.
Yeah, probably. Oh,
it is because it's on top of a cart. So it is a reference to the Flintstones.
We also see in this episode Heather actually gaining a red wig while she's trying to nab some of Courtney's hair, which we actually see. It's actually been a while since I mentioned this, but in a bonus clip, we actually see one of the production crew steal back the bit of Courtney's hair Heather took off.
Oh, okay.
Which we'll actually have to go through those bonus clips at some point.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. We will have to go through those bonus clips. But yeah, so I guess if we don't have anything else to say about the episode, we can move on to $1 Million Babies, which is the sports themed episode. Because obviously it's a reference to $1 Million Baby. Yeah.
Wow. Changing one of the words to its plural form. Really original, writer.
Yeah, really original. Like some of the, but Chris did say it best. Try coming up with 26 different movie genres. I think it's kind of like it. Try coming up with 27 pun movie name titles.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So in this episode, we have Chef in a ring bikini. I don't think we needed to see that.
My eyes. They burn.
Yeah. It burned everybody's eyes.
But we see Harold being very good at boxing in slow motion.
Yes, which would work for him because of just how skinny he is. Like if he went to try and punch someone, it'll be like, whereas he'll be like, ooh, he'll be charging it up for the punch.
Yeah. And even though Lindsay knocked him out, Harold won the boxing challenge for the gaffers.
Because Lindsay was trying to eat the boxing glove, which was a marshmallow.
Yeah. And we see Chris calling her Miss Tyson.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have Duncan and Courtney wrestling in a ball pit.
Oh, that's my favorite part of this episode.
That is my favorite part of this episode as well. Which, how many ball pits have you actually been in your life?
Only a handful, but
yeah, but they're pretty fun. Like if you can actually get in there, if you can actually get in good ball pits.
I mostly crushed all the balls because I was a heavy kid.
Well, hey, you could try swimming in them because that's usually what I end up doing.
But we also see that there's a soiled diaper and a child in the ball pit. We see Duncan pulling out the child and being like, "Mama,"
which I've got to say that when I saw that, I was immediately reminded of just that clip in the movie Junior with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it's just Arnold's face on the bait, just going "Mama," and I'm just waiting for the cut away to the star screen, going like "Ah." Yeah. But also in this episode, we have pretty much Lashana redeeming herself in the eyes of everyone with the cheer.
After a clip came up of her talking smack about everybody.
Yep, of course. So she had to do that. And in this episode, Heather finally gets eliminated.
Honestly, in terms of her deeds, Heather wasn't so bad this season.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I'll admit, Heather, as much she infuriated me in Ireland, it's the same thing with Chris. They both weren't as bad as in this season as they were in Ireland.
And not to mention, Heather even had some good moments, like her dynamic with Harold, the friendship she kindled with Lashana, and even her caring about DJ.
Yeah, yeah. But again, I like to see Heather being the bitchy bitch that she is, just so that I can make my infuriated Heather rage go up to times 1,000.
And just wait till All Stars. You'll be raging at Heather for a very different reason.
Oh, stop me, mate! Stop it! Stop it, Tyler! Stop it! Yeah.
But anyways, episode 16, Dial M for Merger.
Yeah, which is the spy episode, isn't it? Yeah, spy challenge. Which I don't. Again, they could have Chris could have so easily gone. We meet again, my mighty child. Like as like a reference to we meet again, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. And we also get a reference to another show produced by Fresh TV, 16, even though there are 7 of them, so it'd be 17.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
And in this episode, they have to avoid lasers, which I've got to say, Justin, as much as I hate him, did come up with like a really good way to get around the lasers. It's just he didn't have enough mirrors.
Yeah. But we also see in this episode Courtney procuring an item behind the lasers, and we see it's a grappling hook and a pair of wire cutters, and then Chris makes everybody think that the building's going to explode, and is willing to wager their lives for a cut of the mill, which is bad even for Courtney.
No. Courtney
would rather die than lose.
Yeah, it's like I guess life is more. It's less important than winning.
It really does feel like Courtney's character just goes off the deep end after Island.
Yeah, it does. But I guess we could blame Duncan for that.
Well, I don't know why you're blaming Duncan, but okay.
I'll just blame someone.
I blame the writers.
Yeah, blame the writers. And then the next part of the challenge is deactivating the bombs, the stink bombs, which were probably all donated by Owen.
Mm-hmm. But Lindsay actually wins that portion of the challenge.
Yeah, and I'm like again surprised by it, which gets me thinking. Like, again, was she meant to be a finalist? Because it did seem like, with everything going this way, she was meant to be a finalist.
It does feel like that she was supposed to be a finalist. Like, again, I can be very wrong in what I'm about to say, so take what I say with a grain of salt. There was a rumor going around that Lindsay was initially supposed to go to the finals with Duncan, but they had to scrap that because her VA had an emergency. But again, I could very easily be wrong.
Yeah, because the two who end up in the final, it's just like, really?
Yeah.
And we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, so Lindsay wins the challenge, and it's revealed like, oh no, oh, did you really think it was going to be that easy? Like, just cut one wire for all the bombs, and all the other bombs go off, and they all have to spend the next 12 hours soaking in a pool of tomato juice.
Yep. And this also with that pool of tomato juice, Courtney calls off the deal of splitting the mill.
Which, thank God.
And Courtney and Lindsay win a all expenses paid trip to the cheese factory.
Yes, which leads into the next episode, because apparently, which is called if I can get that, which is called, which is, you say, is your favorite episode because it's the superhero episode, and it leads into Beth not knowing how stinky a cheese factory is. Beth, it's a cheese factory. And of course, we have Courtney being a bitch, because she is, by having her superhero costume have plates of metal against her knees. So whenever she scrapes it together, it creates the most ugly noise. But in this episode, we get Harold as what was the name?
Captain Alberta.
Captain Alberta, who has the power of farts, thanks to protein beans. Which I just love. I love that.
Yeah. I also like Harold is the highlight of this episode again.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Like, he takes what is supposed to be Duncan bullying him and turns it around on him to make it his power of summoning a mighty Chinook wind.
Yes, I love it. So doesn't Harold win this challenge?
Harold, well, actually, no. Lindsay wins the first part, but Courtney wins the second.
Oh, okay.
Just edging out Harold.
All right.
And in this episode, Courtney somehow convinces Harold to vote off Lashana instead of Duncan.
Which in any other circumstances, Harold would be like, nope, I'm not throwing off my Lashana. And it's just like, just let us have our ship together. They're perfect together. I don't care if it's very one-sided. They are perfect for each other.
Fair enough. But we also see that side explored in the third Aftermath special, Oh When or Lose.
Which I've gotta agree is probably the best Aftermath special.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, firstly, it has Owen. Secondly,
yes,
it has Owen. And third, it has
Thirdly,
Owen.
It has Owen. And fourth, it has Owen being Owen.
Yeah, so this is definitely where Jeff starts to show signs of going to become Chris 2, with now bringing in an electric chair.
Yes, which is like, what the hell? But he just gets comeuppance for it in the end. Yeah, because he wants everyone to tell the truth, and they do for the most part tell the truth.
Yeah, especially Owen, even though he confesses to a whole bunch of other stuff which isn't even related on national TV.
Yeah, it's because he thought that's what he had to do, and we also get in this episode Lashana finally admitting that she likes Harold in a romantic sense.
I think the reason why Lashana is not pursuing a romantic relationship with Harold is, well, partially because of what I mentioned with Duncan and Gwen. A dude and a chick can be friends without any sort of romance. But I think another part is that Lashana values Harold's friendship, and she doesn't want like a romance to possibly muddy that up.
Yeah, but it's just the way she and I get this is probably how she talks naturally. It's just the words that she uses to Harold sometimes, like sugar babe and all of that. And I get that's part of her character, that's part of her speech. But saying that kind of can make people think the wrong thing at times.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just say babe a lot with Harold, so it's kind of like that would probably mess with Harold and be like, wait, are we in love with each other or not? So again, but I do like how she is honest here, and it's kind of like, I definitely would like to see like a spin-off of what if Lashana and Harold were an official couple.
Yeah. Also, I think Harold's not exactly mature enough for a relationship.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And also, and like I said in this episode, Jeff finally getting his comeuppance by being strapped into the electric chair and being forced to go through the thing that he was forcing everyone else to do, which was so satisfying. Yeah, but really, that's really all I had for the episode. Unless you can think of anything else.
I think that's it for me, aside from Heather, like, thinking Lindsay is actually smart and Beth is a threat.
Yeah, it's kind of like, wow, yeah. If you went back,
I mean,
if you went back in time,
said she doesn't believe either of those, but
yeah, fair enough. But seriously, if you went back in time
go ahead.
to when you first if you went back in time to when you first watched the season and said, "Hey, you do know that Beth's going to be a major player in Total Drama Action," what would your reaction be?
Like, Beth?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, like if because I'd be like, wait, Beth? But anyway, moving on, we have the Princess Bride. I mean, Pride.
Where Courtney takes on the role of a fairy tale princess.
Because
why everybody else has to save her.
Yeah. And I've got to say, Chris, we don't want story time with Uncle Chris. No one wants story time with Uncle Chris. But the thing I want to take, the thing that I think I'm gonna highlight, because I highlighted this in the episode, is Duncan's line on the bridge where he says, and I quote, this is a quote from the episode, seeing Chef as a transgender troll, priceless. Yeah, Duncan, you are a great character in the series, but dude, be aware. Be very aware of what you say. So, yeah, I don't know how other people will take that line.
Yeah, we all
go ahead.
Okay, hot take. I think this might be Justin's best episode, which is also very ironic because it's the episode where he gets eliminated.
Yes, so it
But-
is his best episode.
Like, we actually see Justin try to play the game.
Yeah, and he failed spectacularly. Meaning that's all he had.
Like-
His vanity was all he had.
Yeah, like, well, he also played the game in Dial M, but like,
That's true.
fair enough. But like, we also see Harold being a master of running blind.
Yes, and also we have Duncan being a master at cheating at running blind because he can see through the blindfold.
When they
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, and we also have I'm trying to put words together. Injured, like, damn.
Oh yeah. Beth
Like-
getting injured. I was just like, ouch. Seriously, ouch.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Justin is eliminated. Thank God. Goodbye. See you. Wouldn't want to be you. And now we can move on to something even more incredible. Chris is dead. Celebrate good times. Come on. Oh, it's not actually Chris, but still, Chris. Just seeing Chris's body in the next episode get a clue. It's just like, oh yes, oh, that was so satisfying to see that. So yeah, it's a mystery themed challenge and get a clue. Obviously, where everyone is trying to figure out who done it.
And the prime suspect is Courtney, and this is her. If I had to give one criticism on this episode, it'd be that Courtney is more of an entitled brat than she usually is, demanding a prize for just finding Chris.
Yes. Which is why I think. When Duncan won it in the end, he was like, "Nope, I'm taking Lindsay to the movies," which was probably a big mistake on his part because they wound up just being there
Other way
like,
around.
"Oh, Lindsay, you know what I mean. You know what I mean."
Yeah, Lindsay took Duncan to the movies.
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah,
Justin
because
met
Lindsay won.
with Courtney.
Yeah. And Duncan is just there being like, huh, like, so what do you like to do? It's like just 3 hours of being with Lindsay. I don't know how people can suffer being with Lindsay half the time. So
I mean, that's just both of the people hanging out with Lindsay.
yeah. Yeah, and also in this episode, she's getting annoyed because nobody is hearing her. And it's like, no, Lindsay, go back to how you were. You were fine before not being smart.
I don't know. I like smart Lynn. Well,
No!
I like when Lindsay can be smart.
No! Lindsay! Ugh! Just no! But yeah, so after that we've got Rock and Roll, which is the which you'd figure would be the musical episode, but no, it's the Rockstar biopic episode.
I mean, better than nothing. And we
Yeah,
also see the return of Owen.
Yay! Owen's back. And I have to admit, after watching it, yeah, Owen should have not come back. But okay, say you had to bring someone back for this, but who would you bring back? I mean, I know you'd probably get rid of the
Like, what?
get rid of the whole spy Owen being a spy um, for Chris subplot that happens. But if you couldn't get rid of it and you had to pick someone, who would it be?
Gun to my head, I had to pick somebody. Probably Izzy. But assuming Izzy wasn't brought back already.
Yeah, assuming that Izzy wasn't brought back already. So yeah, and even though it is nice to see Owen back, I feel like his character takes a complete 180 at this point because Owen is just not cut out for being like sneaky and manipulative. He's too nice. He's too humble to be that.
Not to mention, like, I get the reason why Owen's doing this. He's trying to pay off the debt he's trying to gain back the 50 big ones that were used on the cheese seller. But, like, I feel like Owen had already, like, shown, like, Owen had enough screen time and like he did what he needed to do. Like, yeah, the writers. I mean, granted, the writers had some more screen time, but like, why didn't that go to like trying to flesh out the characters that are already there? Like, make or like go have that go into, because like I'm trying to think of how I'd want to do this. Because like we could still have rock and roll biopic, and then we'd have the martial art. Actually, I'm gonna have to write that. I'm gonna put that in my ideas for a total drama action, like not a rewrite, because I feel like that my personal spin on it.
Okay, all right.
Like how I would have gone about with total drama action if I was in that writer's room with Fresh TV.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, and it all culminates in the single worst elimination ever because Lindsay votes for herself.
By accident, because
by accident. And it's like, what the hell? What the actual hell?
Yeah, that kind of just throws Lindsay's whole being trying to be more intelligent thing out of the window. Like,
yeah, it's not like in say in Power Rangers Turbo with Elgar, because I feel like if it was Elgar, he would be that stupid to do something like that. No, Lindsay, even though I've been like, it does not compute. She has shown in this season that no, she is not. She is intelligent enough to not get distracted so much that she would end up fighting for herself. So had to get that band-aid off.
Yeah, but aside from the elimination, I thought the episode was really fun. I was really digging all the challenges. Like the first part of the challenge was like the first challenge was like Guitar Hero, and like Harold was shredding and was doing a little too good. And I like how Duncan won, even though he didn't even try, and Courtney was going all like all like shreddy, like Dragon Force shit. like,
Yeah.
and like,
But yeah, it's
I'm a
kind of
music
funny.
guy. I can appreciate a music themed episode.
Yeah,
Especially
and
since
it's kind
this
of
is my wheelhouse.
yeah.
I mean,
And
granted,
it's
I'm
kind
more
of
into the
funny.
punk scene, but I digress.
Yeah, and
And the paparazzi challenge might be one of my favorites.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned that one with
Go ahead.
yeah, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that with Duncan not not even trying and still doing well, because that happens sometimes. You just
Good.
oh
Good look.
yeah, I'm uh I'm good. It
Luke.
might be on your yes. It might be on your end, Tyler. Yeah, I think it's on. Yeah, I think it's on your end, Tyler. So while we're sorting that out, I yeah, can you still hear me, Tyler? Yeah. So while we're getting sorted with technical difficulties on this end, I really hate this when this happens. We'll move on to
Ah,
wait, can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, so while Tyler comes back in, I will say I do like that bit with whatchamacallit, with Duncan and how he's not even trying. Oh, you're back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like every response you had on my end was like super delayed.
Oh, sorry. Well, hopefully it won't get delayed for the last part of the video. But yeah, I was just
Yeah.
saying how Duncan was. That's kind of reminds me of like the equivalent of a button masher in a video game, where you have like the super complex person trying really hard, and then you just have someone who's not even trying and ends up winning.
Yeah. And then like the paparazzi challenge might be one of my favorite challenges in the entire series,
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
especially with like Duncan, who just doesn't give a fuck. Like he like smashes somebody's camera, gives somebody the finger, kicks the bouncer in the nuts.
Yeah.
And then you got Owen, who trips and rolls all the way down the red carpet. We have Harold, who gets sad and karate chops everybody, and Lindsay just working the crowd.
Yeah, Lindsay just working the crowd.
And
So
it makes sense for Lindsay to win this challenge because this is her wheelhouse.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. So what the hell? What the hell with her being eliminated?
And uh, uh I will admit, as much as I don't like Courtney winning immunity again, I do like seeing her just going ballistic when she's trashing the fake hotel room.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
Oh, go ahead.
and just watching like Harold and Beth and Owen and Lindsay failing so bad to trash a hotel room, that makes me sad.
Yeah,
Especially since we know Harold has some strength. He karate chopped a bunch of cardboard cutouts, but he can't track a phone
no, he can't apparently.
unless that phone's like made out of tungsten or something.
I
Like,
guess.
uh, but then it culminates in the worst elimination of the season.
Oh, absolutely, no question about that. So we gotta get that band-aid off and move on to Crouch and Courtney Hidden Owen, which is essentially the martial arts kung fu challenge, but with mech suits.
Yeah. So the basis of the challenge is that the final five are split off into guys and into gender-based teams, minus Owen, who is the geisha.
Yeah, who I swear is a reference to one of the characters from Mulan. I'm just looking at it now, like the references. So,
I mean, geishas are Japanese, while like Mulan is set in China.
Yeah, but I'll get up the characters that I'm thinking of, and you should be able to see what I mean.
Okay. But another I feel like this really not shows off the best of Duncan and Harold, because we actually see Duncan trying to help Harold, and Harold being shown to be strong. He's punched through a punching bag.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's those characters that I've sent to you.
Oh yeah, it's the some of Mulan's friends in the army dressed up.
So can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So blah blah blah. Harold, Duncan being nice to Harold for once. Thank you. Showing that they can at least work together.
And we also see Courtney trying to make nice with Beth, even though Beth just takes advantage of Courtney.
Which, given what Courtney's been doing, that's very much deserving. Yeah, and we have we have something amazing in this episode, because it's two robots in two different colors. It's red versus blue.
God, that is an old joke.
I know, but I was looking at it like, wait, one is red, one is blue. It's red versus blue.
Holy crap, I haven't made a red versus blue joke in forever.
Well, I had to do it. So yeah, Harold pretty much wins this one.
Yeah, as we see him release a snail that he temporarily added on his journey, called Lashana Jr.
Of course he did. So yeah, and after that abysmal elimination last episode, it's nice that we don't have one this episode.
Yeah, and we have a really good reward. I think, actually, behind $1 million BC and Get a Clue, this is like in my top 3 reward episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we have 2008, A Space Owen.
Space, the final frontier. So yeah, it's space themed in this episode, and I've got to say, I have no idea what it's like to sleep in zero gravity, but I imagine it's going to be a very uncomfortable experience.
Yeah, unless you strap the pillow to your head.
Yeah. But you'd probably be floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is where we have because wasn't it Duncan that accidentally killed DJ's bunny in the last season?
No, it was Jeff who accidentally killed DJ's rabbit. Duncan got DJ a new rabbit. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But in this season we have Duncan having a tarantula named Scruffy, who doesn't last 10 minutes before he's killed.
Yep, because he for some reason ended up with Harold in the vomit comet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know the rest of the franchise moving forward, but does Scruffy ever get mentioned again?
Outside of action, no.
Okay. So I guess he Duncan wasn't as connected to Scruffy as he probably thought he was.
I mean, he's sad, but he said he's relieved to not sleep with a baseball bat under his pillow.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which I think comes into question, what's the correlation between Duncan getting Scruffy and Duncan getting? Because in Ireland, he said he had a dog named Petey when he was 6, but it ran away on him.
I guess even though Duncan has a soft spot when it comes to animals, they probably don't. They probably have because animals can sense when somebody is like, yeah, we don't want to be around this guy. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of what he thinks. Even though he likes animals, animals are just like, yeah, we don't want to be around you.
I mean, to be fair, one of his first appearances involved him giving a noogie to a deer.
Yeah. So I can imagine they're like, yeah, let's keep away from this guy as much as possible. So yeah, and in this episode we have everyone going through the thing, the spin thing that astronauts have to go through in order to see can they go into space.
Yep, otherwise known as the Vomit Comet.
Yeah, the Vomit Comet, which Courtney thought was being smart and being like, right, we're gonna go last, and these guys are gonna go first, and they end up backfiring on her.
Yeah, when Harold had a clean comet to go into that was covered in spider guts. Now Owen farted in the comet, and then Duncan threw up in the comet.
Yeah.
And with Beth ultimately winning the challenge.
Yeah.
And wanting to start a relationship with Harold,
who doesn't last in this episode for some reason.
Yeah, because Harold catches on to the fact that Owen is a mole.
Yeah. Which you would think he would bring that up and Owen will get eliminated.
Yeah, why didn't you tell the others, Harold? Why are you interrogating Owen? But then again, they probably wouldn't believe him because it's Owen.
Yeah, it's Owen. Who's gonna think that Owen is a traitor? But one thing I found myself laughing at was when Chef was like, "Hey, you got something good blocking up the hole here," and it's Owen's ass.
Yeah. Beth cheats on her boyfriend Brady on live TV with Harold.
Well, I guess Brady is as dumb as Lindsay.
He has to be dumber than Lindsay to stay with Beth.
Yeah, he does. So yeah.
And unfortunately, Harold gets eliminated here.
Yeah, Harold gets eliminated. It would have been interesting to see him in the finale.
Absolutely. If Harold would have made it to the finale, I would totally be in his corner.
Yeah, I would as well. It would have made for a more interesting finale as well than what we got.
Yeah, but going into the next episode, Top Dog, we have the Animal Buddy Challenge, where each contestant has to bond with an animal. Courtney has a shark, Beth has a raccoon, Owen has a bear, and Duncan has a chameleon.
Yeah, and can I just say, producers of Total Drama, we need the Beth and Raccoon spin-off show. That was just so funny to see Beth trying to train the raccoon, and the raccoon ends up training her.
And not to mention we have like Owen and the bears getting along really well.
No, it's Owen and the bear. That theme song just writes itself. Once upon a time, deep in the jungle, there was a guy who lived off his farts. And he had his bear sidekick. It's Owen and the bear. It needs a bit of work, but it could work. Like just Owen having like a bear who understands him, and just the kind of adventures they'd get up to.
And then we have Duncan, who goes insane from a lack of sleep and trying to find his chameleon,
who's on his head the whole time.
Yeah. Not to mention, Duncan gets slammed with a 32-page contract thingy, listing all of his flaws, how he can improve upon them if he and Courtney are going to have a stable relationship.
Yeah, and also not only that, there's subsection paragraphs, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's like is this meant to be like because it was out at this time, is this meant to be like a reference to the 50 Shades of Grey contract?
I mean, it would be the weirdest thing Total Drama has referenced. I mean, its latest season was basically one giant Squid Game reference.
Oh God. References. Yeah, and also Beth makes a reference to the Blair Witch Project in this episode with the whole camera and how I'm so scared.
But we also see Owen taking on the role of a mole more seriously here, which
doesn't work for his character at all. It really does not work.
I just think it's pointless. Like, I'm sorry, but why is Owen here?
Because they needed more episodes, because they were running out of contestants. That's really the only explanation I can think of. That is literally the only explanation. Maybe that's why it may or may not be a bad idea to. Maybe you should have added another contestant then. Maybe have Courtney from the start. Yeah, maybe have Courtney from the start, or have Cody or Tyler.
Or Noah.
No, not Noah. No, not Noah. Not Noah.
Why not Noah?
Because we already have one nerd in this episode. In this season, we don't need two.
But Noah's the funny, sarcastic nerd, and Harold is the nerd.
Fair enough. But I feel like we could. We have a season off of two nerds. One nerd was enough for it. Especially if it was like for this season, one nerd is more than enough.
But anyways, this episode ends with Courtney and Beth finding out that Owen's the mole. And Courtney and Beth and Duncan vote off Courtney while Owen is fired.
Yeah, so Owen is fired. But I assume he still gets the money that Chris promised him. What am I kidding? It's Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Courtney as the main villain. Because the only reason that first off, she came in midway through the season and completely upending the other antagonist, Justin, who was already not doing a good job.
This was what confused me. Justin was supposed to be the antagonist, but What did he do? What did he do?
I mean, he tried to manipulate Beth and Lindsay into doing his bidding with his good looks, but like that only got him so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
So
honestly,
now,
like,
oh, go ahead.
Here's an idea I saw like floating around like I remember seeing a YouTube video that instead of DJ and Chef having an alliance, DJ and Justin. I mean, not DJ and Justin, Chef and Justin.
You know what? That would have made a whole lot of sense. But,
yeah, but anyways,
anyway, moving on to the finale.
Yep. I think this is like the only time we've had like a 2-part finale.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. That's okay.
Like,
wow.
Like we've had like like 2 episodes that are like back to back chronologically, like on the night that one episode ends, the finale begins, but like it's never like the final 2 take up 2 episodes.
Interesting. So yeah, in this episode we have them going through a gauntlet of all the previous challenges.
With the veil of a pirate theme, a thinly layered veil of a pirate theme.
With a thinly layered pirate theme, which really didn't amount to much in the end. And really, all it boiled down to with this finale was just Chris and Chef being at each other's throats, which was nice to see because I hate Chris. So him suffering was a treat to see. And just being like, oh yes, go yes, Chris suffering. That's what I like to see. And I hope we get more of it. And I know we get more of it because in the second part of the finale, we have unseen clips of Chris that even he didn't know about. And that scream of Chris, oh, that is going to be a ringtone for the ages. Just Chris screaming. So yeah, we have kind of Beth and Beth trying to be like, let's have a teamsies here, Duncan. And he's like, nope, because I'm getting ahead of you, so I'm gonna win. But then they kind of end up saving each other, and it ends in a draw.
Until the next episode, which is technically an aftermath episode.
Yeah, because Chris wanted to go on vacation, but then he realized that everyone was dissing him, so he had to kind of come back and take over.
Yep. It initially started the tiebreaker with a tribute to Hole in the Wall.
Yeah, which I love the fact that when I saw that and I was like, oh, it's Hole in the Wall, you were surprised, like, wow, you knew about Hole in the Wall.
Yeah, because I thought it was like some niche show that aired on Cartoon Network for like 3 months.
No, it was from here. It came. Hole in the Wall came from here.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for stuff that I didn't know that came from Britain,
you'd have 2 nickels.
Yeah, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice.
Yeah. But it's kind of fun. It's kind of funny because there's this like TV series in the UK called Harry Hill's TV Burp, which is basically a look at different shows from the week but with a comedic edge. And when Hole in the Wall came back for like its second season, he was there just celebrating because he liked the series. But then he was like, "Wait, it's not the first presenter; it's this new presenter." And then he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it now." And he constantly poked fun about it being absolute crap because of the new presenter.
But Then we have some never before seen clips of Duncan and Beth, with Duncan tending to his fellow men in the cabin to ensure they all get a good night's sleep. And
which helps explain why he's always constantly looking like he needs a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
So
I think go ahead.
I was about to say I was looking up Hole in the Wall, and apparently it's like an adaptation of the Japanese game show Brain Wall, also known as Human Tetris.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But anyways, continuing on, we also see the scenes, some of the girls of the Total Drama fan club send a cookiegram to all the girls, which Beth then eats all by herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also as well, the aftermath. Who wants to pick a millionaire? Obviously, a reference to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yep.
So yeah, Beth. Beth being awful to her fellow contestants because that was for everyone. Yeah, that kind of made me think. Yeah, Duncan deserves to win this. Which Duncan, despite his bullying of Harold, has been a strong contender in this season.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably Duncan's strongest showing.
Yeah, and of course we get the both endings. So we get Duncan and Beth's endings, which for those of you who want to know the differences between each version, nothing's different about the episodes up until the ending. And even then, the endings aren't all that different.
Yeah. In Duncan's ending, he and Courtney split the money. In Beth's ending, well, in both endings, we see that Brady's real.
Yeah, and Heather is like, oh, he's a hottie.
Yeah.
Which I love that follow through. Like, yeah, everyone thinking he's an invisible boyfriend. No, he's actually real. Yeah. So I guess the question is, what is the canon ending?
Not sure.
Because I'm looking at it, doesn't actually say what is officially the canon ending, unlike the Owen ending.
Yeah. Honestly, it can go either way.
Yeah, considering what happens in the follow-up episode, which is pretty much a bridge between this season and next season, with Celebrity Manhunt's Total Drama Action Reunion special, which I assume takes place a few months after Total Drama Action.
Yeah, because we see Ezekiel going back home to the prairie. We see, Trent, Justin, Harold, and Cody forming a band. And then Harold splits off from that band to pursue his solo work. We see Duncan and Courtney's whole thing, Gwen and Heather's whole thing, Jeff and Bridget,
Beth and Lindsay's, which I guess it doesn't matter which ending is canon or not, because Beth and Lindsay wind up in prison, and we assume that Beth's money was used to bail her out, whereas whereas Duncan and Courtney ended up in court, and it was probably a settlement.
Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't really matter.
And also probably a portion of Duncan's money did probably go to getting a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It probably did. So yeah. Also in this episode, we get introduced to some new characters. We get the hosts of Celebrity Manhunt, which is Bellini and Josh, who are basically the equivalent of TMC. And we also get introduced to the hyper fangirl of Total Drama Island with Sierra, who after this episode, her and Brianna, I'm not fond of already. And I have been warned about their roles coming up, which I'm like, ugh.
And we also get introduced to Alejandro, who
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it this one time as a joke, but I assume he gets better. Discount Justin.
to quote Homelander from The Boys, oh no, he's the upgrade.
I am gonna hold you to that until we because I assume he's one of the contestants in World Tour.
Yes.
Okay, so after World Tour, I will give my honest opinion on Alejandra.
So, but right now, the cast of right now, the only contestants not returning for World Tour are Jeff, Eva, Katie, Sadie, Trent, Justin, and Beth. Which
I assume what Beth, the reason why she can't return is because she's on probation from prison, because she ends up going to prison. But then why is Lindsay not on probation?
I don't know, maybe she was given like a lighter sentence than Beth?
I guess, but Lindsay was the one who did the damage to the Mona Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess she threw Beth under the bus. Quite literally, considering that she's in a bus in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in this, thank God Justin isn't returning and Jeff isn't returning for World Tour, and Kate and Sadie, thank God, because I don't know how much I would have been able to stand them. But also in this, we learn that Lashauna's clothing has the power to hold down a bus.
Yeah, that's gotta be like, yeah, that like, it's like an entire bus was hanging by Lashauna's bra, which
I'm just like
strong elastic.
Yeah, that's gonna be strong elastic, but yeah, Duncan was able to cut it with a simple knife. How does that work?
Oh. Cartoon logic?
Yeah, cartoon logic, I guess we're going off here. But it turns out that the reason why they're all on this bus in the first place is because they're going to the Gemmies, which is obviously the Grammys, because they think they're going to be rewarded for being the best ensemble for a talent show. When it turns out it's the Golden Oldies that win that, whatever show that is. And they're really annoyed by this because Chris is being a dick to them and saying, "I'm going to have my own my new show, Total Drama Dirtbags, and you guys are not invited."
Yeah.
But also in this episode, we get more of Gwen and Heather's rivalry from the online blog war.
Yeah, and like Gwen pointing out a 3-ounce weight gain from Heather, which, come on, Gwen, that's petty even for you.
Yeah, that is petty for Gwen. And we also have Courtney driving the bus and getting distracted by Duncan and nearly killing everyone. And it turns out that Chris wasn't really establishing a total drama dirtbag. he was getting everyone to be like, oh, are you worthy to be part of World Tour? Which I think after everything they've gone through Island and Action, I think they are more than worthy for World Tour, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I think they would have. I think they've proved themselves more than worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that is basically Total Drama Action, and it ends with us finding out the Total Drama Jumbo Jet and realizing, oh crap, they're all doomed.
So
because the Jumbo Jet is about as stable as any government these days.
yeah. So you think Action is better than Island?
I do honestly think Action is better than Island. Like I said, I feel like Heather and Chris are less infuriating in this season. The challenges were more up my alley, and again, I feel like the cast was used a lot better in this season than Island, because it was shrunk down to who were the ones that people most want to see in this season? Whereas Island, I feel like they were kind of using it as an experiment for all the characters. But then they realized, 22 is a bit too much.
Yeah, I could agree where you're coming from. That because this was their first outing, that there was a lot of experimentation going on, and some characters work better than others.
Yeah, like Kate and Sadie. The fact that we don't have Kate and Sadie in this season, that's a major plus.
I agree.
Yeah, I know they're in the aftermath, but they don't do much there. So yeah, they were to tolerable levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my opinion on Action. And yeah. And surprisingly, liking characters more than I hated in Ireland. Like I said with Heather, I think she's a lot more bearable in this season.
And I can definitely see where you're coming from. I will say, I feel like Action has a lot of pacing issues. I feel like it takes a while to get going in the beginning. But once it gets going, it has some serious highs.
Yeah,
but then it shit the bed at the end.
Yeah. Like Harold was definitely the highlight of this season for me personally, but again, he should have been in the finale because it would have brought the relationship between him and Duncan full circle. Like if they could actually work together.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you missed a golden opportunity. Like if it was Harold and Duncan in the finale, it could have led to the best finale.
Oh, just you wait for that.
Oh God. But anyway, that is the video. Hope whoever watches it enjoys it, and it will go up on the Kontrolled Khaos YouTube page at some point. And yeah, we will see you next time for Total Drama World Tour. Peace.
Peace.